The human mind is a spark of the almighty consciousness of God. I could show you that whatever your powerful mind believes very intensely would instantly come to pass. Paramhansa Yogananda. I love that line by Yogananda. Yogananda, in his book Autobiography of a Yogi, suggests that the human mind has such a powerful capacity to shape the world. And he tells so many incredible stories about how his mind did that. Interestingly enough, the book Autobiography of a Yogi became Steve Jobs' favorite book. When Steve Jobs was at his deathbed and Walter Isaacson interviewed him for Jobs' biography, Isaacson asked Jobs, "What books do you carry on your iPad?" And Steve Jobs showed that the one book he carried was Autobiography of a Yogi. So many remarkable people across the world seem to believe in this idea, including Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement address, said, "Listen to your heart and intuition. They somehow already know who you are to become." Isn't that beautiful? It so aligns with the spiritual philosophies of Jose Silva. I've come to believe that many of the greatest people in the world who were able to pull off incredible things were utilizing these tools. Steve Jobs, of course, was such a fan of Yogananda that at his funeral, every single guest who came went away with Yogananda's book. And Jobs, of course, went on to build Apple, the first global trillion-dollar company. So while these ideas are not spoken about publicly, among people who are performing at the peak of their potential, many of them are utilizing these ideas. Yesterday, you learned about desire. Today, you're going to learn about belief and expectancy. Belief is a very powerful tool. When you believe that you can move towards a goal, when you believe that something is possible for you, you seem to draw upon superhuman abilities to make it so. We don't fully understand why it works, but we know that belief is a powerful ingredient. Now, I learned about belief the hard way. When I first picked up my first Silva book, I was 14 years old, and I read that book, Silva Mind Control. It was a copy belonging to my father, written in 1977. It was probably the early 90s when I first picked up that book. I was fascinated by the story of a nun, Sister Barbara Burns, who, using the Silva technique, healed her eyesight. Sister Barbara Burns was almost legally blind, and she said that by going to a center and repeating and creating a positive statement that said essentially this: every time I blink my eyes, my vision gets better, better, and better. She went, over the course of 1 year, from being legally blind and requiring thick glasses to being able to see in 20/20 vision. Now, I had problems with my eyesight. My power was minus 700 myopia, which means that without my glasses, I couldn't recognize someone this far ahead. It was really bad. I was captivated by the story of Barbara Burns, and I thought, well, I want to try this as well. But in my 14-year-old mind, I hadn't really fully trained my faculties of belief. And so, for 2 years, practicing Silva, I would dabble with trying to heal my eyesight. And I got absolutely nowhere. I didn't stop though. I didn't give up. I started reading every book by Jose Silva I could find. And in one of Jose Silva's books, I came across a line that really struck me. That line said, "Don't jump the gun." And I realized what Silva meant. He was saying, look, don't try to heal something so massive before you have a tiny victory and you've built up your reservoir of faith and belief. Think of belief as a glass. You could have a glass that's really full. That's awesome. That's your reservoir of faith or belief. Or you could have a glass that only has a little bit of water. To heal something like eyesight, I needed a lot more in that reservoir. I didn't have that. So what Jose was essentially saying is, don't jump the gun. Start with something small, build up your belief, and then tackle bigger and bigger and bigger things. So I decided that I was doing it wrong. I was trying something beyond my scope of belief. So what would be a smaller outcome I could attempt to influence with my mind that might help me build up my reservoir? While reading Jose Silva's work, I came across an interesting story. It was a story of how Jose would bring up people at the front of a seminar and then hypnotize them. And to prove the power of belief, he would hypnotize them to believe that his marker was a red-hot poker. He would take it, apply it to their skin, move the marker away, and a burn bubble would form. Because under hypnosis, they believed that that marker was a red-hot poker. Now, if Jose wasn't a sadist, he wouldn't stop there. He would then tell them that he could heal that bubble with the touch of his hand. He would put his hand on the bubble, and the burn bubble would disappear instantly. Jose went on to describe in that book that the skin is the organ that is easiest to influence with the mind. And that gave me a clue. Why was I trying to heal my eyesight? I had other issues. I had really bad skin. At that point, I was 17 years old. I was a teenager, and I was going through the worst pimple breakouts, and it was really affecting my self-esteem. In high school, the other kids called me pimple face, and I hated that. And so I decided to apply the Silva Method to heal my skin. So I did the 3 scenes technique, and I followed Jose's advice on how to apply it for healing. You will learn that in upcoming lessons. I'd had serious acne for 5 years. My mother had taken me to dermatologists. I'd had injections in my skin. I put on various creams. Nothing had resolved it. But in 5 weeks, using the 3 scenes technique, my pimples slowly disappeared. And 5 weeks from the time I started, I had clear skin, and it lasted. My confidence grew. I stopped being bullied at school, and that built up my reservoir of belief. That gave me enough juice to tackle bigger and bigger and bigger things. So the moral here is your beliefs will determine your reality. But don't try to rush it. Don't try to heal cancer before you can heal your dandruff. Start with something small. Build up your reservoir of faith and belief, and then tackle bigger things. It's a form of training. So again, don't try to immediately try to use the 3 scenes technique to become a millionaire. Try to start with maybe saving 20 grand in your bank account, something that's believable. And as you do that, gradually grow and grow and grow the scope of your goals and what you're aiming for. But you must train your belief system. Now, how do you know that your belief system is on point? How do you know that what you're focusing on aligns with your capacity to believe? Well, that brings us to the third part. Remember, it's desire, belief, and the third part is expectancy. Expectancy means when you step out of your meditation, you just know the results are coming towards you. In other words, you walk and you live your life expecting the end result. Expectancy, too, is a powerful force. We spoke about Steve Jobs. Let me give you another person who, prior to Jobs, built the biggest company in America. His name was Sam Walton. And if you read his biography, there's a beautiful line by Sam. Sam Walton said this: "I always expect good things to happen." Thinking like that often turned into a self-fulfilling prophecy. What Sam Walton was saying is that living life, he always expected the best. It's as if he felt he was blessed by the universe. And he went on, of course, to start the biggest company of his generation, Walmart. Expectancy is a powerful force. The question is, though, why? Remember, in an earlier lesson, I shared the concept of the law of resonance. It's not the law of attraction that brings the reality you want to you. It's the law of resonance. So says Michael Beckwith. In other words, you will not get the outcome you want by doing the 3 scenes technique over and over and over and over and over again. You get the outcome you want if you do it once, you step out of your meditation, and you expect it to happen. Often if you're doing it over and over and over and over again, you're doubting that it's going to happen to you. And that means you don't expect it to happen. Now, when you don't expect it to happen, the law of resonance can't kick in. Because remember, the universe won't give you what you're obsessively focused on. The universe will give you what you are. If you've used the 3 scenes technique to heal your body, like Sister Barbara Burns, to tell yourself and to fully believe that your vision is getting better and better every time you blink your eyes, and then as you step forth in the world, you expect it to happen, your vision will get better. In my case, I expected to have better skin. My skin got better. But it came not just because of applying the 3 scenes technique, but the after effect. When I stepped out of that meditation, I walked, I talked, I started expecting the result. What does expectancy feel like? Let me give you an example. Let's say a friend asks you to lend him $1,000. So you lend your friend $1,000 and he promises to return the money to you in 7 days. Now 7 days elapse and you haven't gotten your money back. Then 2 weeks elapse. Still no word from your friend. A month goes by. Your friend has now blocked you on his phone. He's just not answering your calls. You're frustrated. You feel cheated. You're fundamentally upset. This guy owes you money and he's hiding from you. Now, 3 months later, you get a message from him and he's come across a change of heart. He says, you know, I was a total jerk. I should never have done that to you. You were a good friend. I was going through a financial hard time. I couldn't return the money, but I've now resolved that situation. So I've sent you a check for $1,000 plus interest. This is the FedEx tracking number. You can expect the check soon. The check is in the mail. All of a sudden, you find that you feel differently about your friend, right? How would you feel? You'd probably find that you're no longer frustrated, you're no longer angry, your friend has apologized and the check is in the mail and you have the FedEx tracking number and a picture of the check. Your feelings towards your friend would have immediately changed. You know the money is on its way. That is expectancy. You know the check is in the mail. That is the nuanced feeling you want to have after you emerge out of doing a Silva session. After you've done a 3 scenes technique or a mental video technique, when you step into the world, when you get off your meditation cushion, you must have the feeling that the check is in the mail and what you've just programmed for is coming to you. That is the power of expectancy. Just like belief, you train that bit by bit by starting with easier things that you know you can easily create and building up your reservoir of faith. So this is your exercise for today. Today and every day going forward, I want you to do the following exercise. This exercise is designed to build up your belief system and build up your levels of expectancy. I want you to pay attention to how the universe is starting to respond to you. I want you to create a journal. And this journal is going to be called The Magic I Witnessed Today. This particular exercise comes from a spiritual teacher by the name of Barry Morgulin, brilliant man who has been mentoring me for quite a while now. And this exercise has changed my life. Again, it's called The Magic I Witnessed Today. Every night before going to bed, I want you to have this journal in your bedside drawer. And before going to bed, simply write down any bit of magic that you witness, any coincidence or synchronicity. The more you pay attention to the magic, the more you write down the synchronicities, the more you will see synchronicities happen. And you will also notice that these coincidences and synchronicities will start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. With my life, it's gotten crazy. I will think about something and instantly I will meet the right person to help that thing come into my life. And it's such a wonderful state of being that you can train yourself to get there. Anybody can. We are all made of the same stuff. So yes, Steve Jobs, Sam Walton, and the teachers I've quoted, and you are made of that same essence. It's just a function of your mindset and your training and your desire, belief, and expectancy. So go ahead and start right now. I'm going to give you a minute. Write down the magic you witnessed today or the previous day or the day before that. Go back as much as you can. Make a list. And starting today, maintain this as a journal. I'm going to Now, if you feel compelled, go ahead and share this magic list with the community. If you have time today, go ahead and continue doing either the short relaxation exercise or the centering exercise, whatever you have time for. See you tomorrow.